Hi, I'm Dawson Moss, and I chose option 1 for my project. The literacy period known as Romanticism has many aspects that describe it. These aspects can be known as the tenets of Romanticism. They are emotion and feeling, emphasis on beauty and nature, link between man and nature, emphasis on love, something perhaps supernatural, and somebody experiencing something nostalgic. There is also emphasis on the power of the individual. Let's take a look at some examples from Rappaccini's daughter. In the film, Giovanni watches Beatrice, and even after Dr. Baglioni told Giovanni about all these bad things about Beatrice, Giovanni ignores and still wants to be with Beatrice. There is emphasis on the beauty of Rappaccini's garden. In this case, the power of the individual kind of goes in hand with the emotion and intuition. Dr. Baglioni warns Giovanni about Beatrice, but Giovanni still ignores Dr. Baglioni. Once Beatrice held the flowers that Giovanni threw down, the flowers died. Then Beatrice ran, and there was thunder followed by rain. Towards the end of the film, Giovanni still kisses Beatrice, even though Beatrice says, "For the love of your life, you must not kiss me." Also, Giovanni buys her flowers and says that it doesn't matter that they only meet in the garden. Beatrice said, "Are you sure?" And Giovanni said, "I only want to know with my own heart." Beatrice calls the flowers sister and even hugs the flowers. Also, whenever a butterfly landed on her hand, it killed the butterfly. Also, whenever she gripped Giovanni's wrist, it left a marking. Realism is the attempt in which life is represented as it is, with no idolizing and no sugarcoating. Realism shows up a lot in Huck Finn. The story takes place right before the American Civil War, a time period when slavery and racism was a very real thing. In the story, we see Huck struggling with the question of whether slavery is right or wrong. Because of the way he was brought up, he was taught to believe that slaves were less than people, which was the mentality of most people at this time. Twain also uses the N-word a numerous amount of times throughout the novel, and it almost makes the reader feel uncomfortable. Twain used the language that was used back then and presented it in Huck Finn. Modernism is experimentation with form and style, and often has a theme of alienation. There's also the iceberg principle. There's stuff on the surface, but there's also a lot underwater. There's also the stream of consciousness, syntax, and semantics. Let's take a look at The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Let's talk about the stream of consciousness in Prufrock. The poem focuses on the feelings of Prufrock, and it consists of the internal and chaotic thought process of him. As we follow his thoughts, it becomes clear that he's contemplating whether talking to the woman or not. Even though there is no official meeting, it's the thought process of Prufrock that makes this such a great example for the stream of consciousness. Experimental syntax can also be seen in the Prufrock poem. It consists of commas, semicolons, dashes, breaks, and ellipses, which create a dramatic pause in the poem.
Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room...
Let's take a look at the semantics in Prufrock. I have measured my life out with coffee spoons. Typically when you measure something out, it's a literal substance, but this substance for Prufrock is his life. He's not measuring his life out in bowls or truckloads, but minor, small coffee spoons. Through the use of semantics, we can tell he does not like taking risk, which goes in hand with his inability to act on what he's thinking. So it's easy to contrast them. Romance is supernatural sometimes, and realism is real, and modernism is more experimental. But let's take a look at how they can be compared. Let's take a look at The Bear by William Faulkner. Even though it goes with modernism, there's still something a little supernatural. Let's take the bear for example. The brave dog goes to the bear, and the bear is much stronger. So the bear only scruffs the dog up a little bit. The bear could have easily killed the dog, but doesn't. The bear showed respect for the dog for being brave, but sent him back because the bear was stronger. This can kind of go in hand with modernism and romance. Whenever romance can be described as also supernatural, so the bear in William Faulkner and modernism and realism can go together.